Ave Maria, welcome back to No Apologies. Today we're going to just make a few more points concerning our second step, that man's soul is immortal. Now the first step, the first point is to see that the soul of man is immortal because of our sense of moral obligation, meaning that every human being is created with a built-in sense that we have to do what we perceive to be right and we have to avoid what we perceive to be wrong. Now if we believe our first step, that God created us, we have to believe that God created us with this built-in sense of moral obligation as a matter of His will. He sanctioned that law in our hearts. Now, if the state sanctions a law and we choose to disobey that law, then the state punishes us, and rightly so. If the state didn't, well, to sanction a law would make no sense at all because law would be joke. So the same is true with this interior moral obligation. We know that one day we'll be accountable for our attitude towards this. And since no one in this life is capable of passing judgment on that, it must take place in the next life before the judgment seat of God. If we're to receive this judgment, then obviously we have to be present. And so we conclude that after the body dies, the soul must continue to live on. Now the second point to be able to see that the soul is immortal is taken from our sense of justice. Now again, every human being is created with a sense of justice. We all like to see the good receive their just reward, and we all like to see the wicked put behind bars. Now from our sense of justice, we can reasonably believe, apart from any aspect of divine revelation, that God too is a God of justice. Because if He's instilled in us this sense of justice, and all creation is a reflection of Him, well, it's reasonable to believe that God too is a God of justice, and that He will reward every good that man does, and that He will punish every evil that God does. Now, obviously, this doesn't take place in this life. Most often we see that the good are the ones who are struggling the most, and the wicked always seem to be on top of everything. Well, if it's not going to take place in this life, but justice still has to be met, well, then it will take place in the next life. And in order for that to happen, again, we have to be present, which means that our souls will continue to live on even after our bodies have died. Thanks for joining me here on No Apologies. I'll see you again soon. Ave Maria.